Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Fiorentina took their best chance at trying to stop Juventus' unbeaten run in Serie A, but they failed. Where did they go wrong? What did Juventus do right? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Juventus beat Fiorentina. So before we get into today's video, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, we're going to break down the first half and the second half, see how both sides approach the game, how Juventus were able to take a lead, and then able to push on and secure the 3 points. But first, let's get to the starting lineups. We look at Fiorentina 4-3-3, 4-1-4-1 for the most part. Simeone up front, out in wide areas, Gerson and Chiesa, and in midfield they went with Vertu, they went with Fernandez, and they also had Benassi there. When we look at Juventus, 4-3-3 as expected, Dybala, Mandzukic, Ronaldo up front. In midfield, a bit of a change. They went with Matuidi, Cuadrado as a shuttler, and they had Bentancur at the base. So first, let's get into the first half, see what Juventus did right, how they were able to take the lead, and what Fiorentina did to try and cause Juventus problems. So many times when two sides play identical systems, there's a good chance it'll be a scrappy game that's eventually marked out based on the fact that each team can mark out players individually, and just based on the fact that, again, how are you going to get goal scoring chances if you don't have a numerical advantage somewhere? So that's down on the managers. Here, however, we saw that not too many chances, neither goalkeeper were forced into miraculous saves. This was about how two sides press, because that's how the first half of the game really went about. How are Juventus going to try and win the ball? How are they going to create chances, especially without a ball playing creator? And what were Fiorentina going to do about it? Because when we look at it, basically how it's set up is that you have the front three there, the two center backs on the striker. We saw Milinkovic really tight on Ronaldo throughout. That was key. In the midfield, Vertu obviously tries to drop a bit deeper, so you have Bentancur step to him, but that leaves you with Matuidi against Benassi, Fernandez against Cuadrado, and then you look at the wider areas. Everything is kind of mapped out. The way Juventus tried to press was the fact that they had the front three sitting out. You had Ronaldo and you had Dybala pushing out. And what ended up happening after was the fact that what they could do was have Dybala pinch in a bit, and if the ball went out to Biraghi, they could have Cuadrado step forward there and still have that advantage if they need be. So that was one way they were going about it. There were times where Vertu did drop in, and then they had kind of like the three, so they would push out the front players, and if they needed if Fiorentina looked to push the ball out into the wider players, they could have the shuttlers push out and block off passes there. But for the most part, that was how Juventus were going about things. They were pressing through midfield. They were ensuring that they closed down the wider areas in Chiesa and Gerson, and they were fine with the 2v1 battle with Simeone going up against Bonucci and Chiellini. Obviously, when you think about Fiorentina, they did the same to start the game, but they often dropped off into more of a 4-5-1 without the ball, kind of just sitting back into their shape. As the game wore on, we saw Simeone kind of sit on Bentancur, but besides that, that's how they were going about it. Obviously, Juventus's shape was very interesting. They had Cancelo starting from the left. We often saw Matuidi drop into that space, so Cancelo could push forward to offer more of an offensive threat, whereas we saw De Sciglio kind of tuck in a bit narrow on that side, and Cuadrado at times would push out into wide areas on the right. Juventus wanted to get service into the strikers. They needed to find a way to create chances, because in the opening, you could say 20 minutes or so, they weren't really creating much, and that was a big issue for them. We had chances from the pressing. We saw on one occasion where Juventus looked to press from the front, and what happened here was that we saw Fernandez step in, and with Fernandez stepping in to close, what happens there is that the ball's played out to him, but Cuadrado was there. So as Cuadrado's there, Fernandez makes a loose touch. It falls to Mandzukic, who's taken out by Fernandez, and then Cuadrado picks up the ball before Vertu comes across and fouls him. We saw the same thing on the opposite side. Simeone pressing Bonucci, he plays it back to Bentancur, but Fernandez steps in. As Fernandez steps in, Bentancur plays it back to Chiellini, and Chiellini ends up clearing the ball off Fernandez into Szczesny, and again, that's a big warning sign. But again, not too many chances. When we think about it, Fiorentina tried to get everything stemmed down the right, down the flanks, and with that being said, as they try to push out the flanks, if they had Milinkovic or they had Biraghi push forward again, that was the job of Matuidi stepping out. That was the job of Cuadrado stepping out. If Matuidi steps out, the two midfielders shift across. If Cuadrado steps out, the two midfielders come across, because besides that, Gerson wasn't offering much, Simeone wasn't creating anything, Chiesa was trying his best but lacked the quality in the final third, and there was only one opportunity that you could think of where he cut in after Gerson came across, cut in on De Sciglio, and fired a shot on goal that was very tame and very easy for Szczesny to pick up. So that's how they were going about it. Whereas when we look at Juventus, and we'll get to that now, a lot of their best plays stem through Dybala, who was responsible now for offering the guile, the creativity in the final third, because Juventus really lacked that, and the greatness of Ronaldo. So now let's get to that and see how Juventus created their chances and were able to go into the halftime up 1-0. When we look into the chances that Juventus created in the first half, they came very thick and thin. But when we think about all of it, it stems from the fact that, again, the way that they kind of positioned their players, the fact that Fiorentina was dropping off a bit deeper, and it did stem from some individual brilliance from some of their players, and you expect it from those players. Dybala, Ronaldo, Cancelo playing an advanced role as Matuidi dropped off a bit deeper. When the build-up to the goal, you have Mandzukic on the right. The front three was interchanging throughout. Ronaldo was either on the left or in a central position. Dybala from the right was often tucking into central areas as well, trying to pick up the ball, and Mandzukic was floating from flank to flank. If they needed him in the central areas, if balls were being delivered into the box, he would be there. When we look at the build-up to their goal, it stems from the fact that after an extended spell of possession, you have Vertu try to step out to Bentancur, but he's a bit too late. What we see here is that we have Mandzukic out to the right. The pass is played into Dybala, who drags out Vitor Hugo. What happens here is that Bentancur continues his run to get the ball back. Now we have Ronaldo make the diagonal run, and when he makes the run, he drags out Milinkovic, and Pizzella is kind of pushed out of position, which allows Bentancur to gain a yard on him. By the time Pizzella realizes that he's kind of shifted out of position, he tries to step back, but Bentancur's already lining up his shot, and he leaves Lafont rooted, and Juve go up 1-0. When you think about the other chances that Juventus really have, a lot of it stemmed down the left-hand side. You had the ball switched out to Ronaldo. With the ball switched out to Ronaldo, you have Milinkovic and Vertu kind of step into that area, but he's able to cut past them both and bend an effort inches wide of the net. When we look at another opportunity, Matuidi wins the ball and around their box, and now Juventus are able to break. He shifts it out to Cancelo. Cancelo drives at goal. What happens here is that Vertu comes across, and you have Fernandes trying to break free and try to cover. But what happens, he cuts in on them again from a deep position, but he bends his effort much wider than Ronaldo's. You think about another opportunity, it's Ronaldo this time shifting out to the right ahead of Biraghi. He kind of fakes his shot, tees up Dybala, and Dybala forces Lafont into another save. These are chances that they're getting, winning individual battles in the sense that they're breaking on the counterattack. You look at the final opportunity that they do create, and what does that stem from? It's Bonucci stepping forward, and Bonucci finds Dybala dropping off ahead of Vertu, and what happens here is that he's able to turn him with ease. Ronaldo's at the center of the pitch, and what happens there is he plays it into Ronaldo. Ronaldo back heels it back into the path of him, but Fernandes tracks it and fouls him. But when you think about it, that is what Juventus needed, because they didn't have much. They missed Pjanic in this game, not able to set the tempo, not able to really dictate the tempo of the game from deeper positions. So they need to find someone to create the chances. You know Ronaldo's going to get his chances here or there. You think about one opportunity where it's just Ronaldo from deeper playing it to Cancelo, and all he simply does is run between Pizzella and Milinkovic. Ball goes over the top. Normally he brings it down. He doesn't. But just like that, he's able to create a chance. But who else is going to step up? In the first half, it was Dybala dropping off, using his technical ability, his ability to move off the ball and turn to different positions to beat defenders and then help Juventus create with forward running. When you think about Fiorentina, only one real chance that really threatened Juventus, and it stems from, again, Fernandes switching the ball out to Milinkovic. This time, Matuidi doesn't get across. He doesn't get across quick enough. Benassi makes the run, which Chiellini tracks. The cross comes in. Benassi gets onto it, but he fires a shot off Chiellini, and it falls to Simeone ahead of De Sciglio. But what happens is that he flashes at the shot, doesn't make any connection. And with that being said, Fiorentina missed a golden opportunity to equalize and go into the halftime 1-1. But they didn't, and they weren't any better in front of goal or in the final third. Whereas Juventus have the quality to make the difference when you do switch off, and they did that in the first half. So now let's get to the second half and see what changes Fiorentina made to try and rescue a point, or perhaps three, and how Juventus were able to kill off the game. The second half, on the other hand, witnessed a brief Fiorentina resurgence. What happened was that, obviously, as the game wore on, Juventus dropped off to ensure that they secured their shape and that they were able to offer a counterattacking threat from deep. But when you think about it, the only real chances they created prior to the goal was when you had Mandzukic dispossess Fernandes, and that led to Cuadrado firing a tame effort at goal, and the chance that Ronaldo had from the free kick where he forced Lafont into a save. You think about Fiorentina's chances, they just went a bit longer, they went more direct and from deeper areas that weren't necessarily in the wide areas. We look at Gerson dropping off, and then you have Matuidi, who was often, like I said, pushed into that deeper role, holding him off. What happens here is that Chiesa runs off Cuadrado, and what he does is he makes a diagonal run. So as they push across, he makes a diagonal run. Chiellini misses the ball. Bonucci comes across, but Chiesa is able to fire his effort on goal. And again, that's a big warning sign. This Juventus side, as good as they've been this season, they have they likely and often they do switch off, and it's been the center backs this season that they've given teams opportunities. They were unable to finish there. Another one stems from the fact that it was Milinkovic clearing his lines, and when he cleared his lines, the ball ended up falling to Simeone, who won a header, wasn't challenged. He won it, and he nodded it into the path of Gerson, running off Bentancur. So now you have Gerson running at the back four before he runs into some traffic, and what does he do? He tees up Chiesa. Chiesa curls his effort on goal, but again, it's right at Szczesny. No real danger there. Those are two quality chances for Fiorentina that we didn't see in the first half. They were going long. They were getting better opportunities. Juventus were coping with the pressure, soaking it up. They finally get their goal. Short corner, Dybala, his cross into the box is cleared. Cuadrado nods it back into the box, but this is poor from Fiorentina. The fact that you allow Chiellini to bring the ball down, Lafont saves it, but Ronaldo again plays a key role in not giving up, attacks the ball. Fernandes can't get onto it, and the ball bounces into the net, and that's a Chiellini goal, 2-0. You see Fiorentina make changes. What happens is they end up taking off Benassi, they push Gerson into midfield, they bring on Piaka, and there's only one real opportunity where he offered something, and that's when they broke forward down the left-hand side, and he made a darting run in behind Bentancur and behind De Sciglio. Bentancur tracked it well. What happens there is that he ends up pulling it back to Gerson, and Gerson gets it in already in between Dybala and Cuadrado, but he fires his shot wide of the net. That's another golden opportunity, and then Juventus kill off the game. Mandzukic wins a penalty with a cross that hits the arm of a Fiorentina defender that Ronaldo converts. But when you break down the game as a whole, Juventus just a class above, have more quality, were for the most part, you could say they were organized defensively, and they had the individual talent that was able to break down this Fiorentina side, whereas Fiorentina just, although they were a bit courageous, they just don't have enough in the final third to not cause Juventus problems, but execute. And that's key against this side, because when you get those opportunities, you have to convert, and they didn't do it here. But let me know what you guys think. Can anyone in Serie A beat Juventus? What about Fiorentina? What is their goal for this season? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.